Welcome to my PowerPoint about broken cards. Starting with Death Knight, we have Construct Quarter. This card is, of course, very recent, which is going to be most of the cards on this list. They'll be broken recently for a number of reasons. Of course, Construct Quarter came out in the mini set for March of the Lich King for Death Knight, and it was 3 mana location. Destroy a friendly minion to summon a 4/5 undead with Rush for 3 durability. It was then nerfed to 4 with 3 durability, and then nerfed to 4 with 2 durability. This card was disgusting. It would pop your death rattles, it would give you corpses, it would give you effectively buffs to your minions, it would give you a rush minion. It was just incredibly powerful. The thing is, at 4 mana, it was still actually really good. So good to the point that it was actually genuinely viable in even Death Knight and Wild, to the point that even Death Knight was actually a good deck, and it got nerfed again to 2 durability. This 2 durability change was actually significant. It made the even Death Knight deck just not playable in Wild. It hurt the Death Knight deck in Standard significantly, and although it was fully reverted in the revert patch this year, it actually is just not good anymore. This is an issue that we always have with Death Knight, where cards that go from even to odd mana counts just like stop being playable. Because it's not really playable. You can't play non-even Death Knights in Wild currently, and it's just a little sad. This card is actually just very fun to play with. I talked about it when I did a Locations tier list video. It's one of the... I still think it's one of the best design cards. However, its numbers were a little too strong. If it had started out at like 4 mana, 3 durability, I think it would have been like a good card, but nothing really too strong. I think it starting out at 3 mana really did put the nail in the coffin for this card. Although it did get nerfed from 3 durability to 2, I still think that version would have been the most fair. Then we have Demon Hunter. Lady Setheno is a card of all time. It got multiple other cards nerfed, such as Rowdy Fan or Predation, and Lady Setheno and Predation are still nerfed to this day. Predation went, of course, from 3 mana, deal 3 damage, cost 0 if you played a Naga this turn, to 2 mana, deal 2 damage, which is a nerf. It's a 1 damage nerf, even though the mana cost doesn't matter. Lady Setheno, of course, started with 2 attack. It's a 3 mana 1/4 Naga, immune while attacking. After you cast a spell, attack the lowest health enemy. It did start with 2 attack, and it was really good. Rowdy Fan went from +4 attack while this is alive to +3 attack because it was too strong with Setheno. And man, this is such a sad case for Demon Hunter, because again, Demon Hunter is a relatively new class. This is only like its 3rd year of existing when Lady Setheno was printed. So seeing a card that was very strong for the class but not have any parts of it reverted is really bad. This is why like newer classes are so much weaker in Wild than in Standard, is because they're not having cards that are incredibly strong just left alone and never nerfed. That's something that a lot of older classes do have access to, where they have cards that were really strong and maybe they did get nerfed but eventually got reverted. It's very unlikely something like Lady Setheno will ever be reverted. It's really sad. Lady Setheno offers a cool game plan for Demon Hunter, where you're able to play relatively aggressively and then have a finisher, which is something that Demon Hunter can't really do right now. None of its finishers are very good. Jace isn't a card. Spell Demon Hunter doesn't really work. It's just quite sad. Yes, you have Pirate Demon Hunter, but that is just a full-on aggro deck. It wouldn't really make use of something like Lady Setheno. It's just a little sad to see overall that Demon Hunter is being left in the dust like this. Same with Death Knight, of course, but in the case of a card that could have been fully reverted and been fine, because it was fine for a long time. It could have eventually been given support and been a strong deck, but we'll never know. Then we have Druid. So this is Twig of the World Tree. Twig of the World Tree. Of course, this isn't a new card. A lot of the cards in this list are going to be newer cards because I wanted to talk about them. However, Twig of the World Tree was broken by a newer card. Twig of the World Tree came out in Kobolds and Catacombs, not Knights of the Third Throne, but it came out the same year, 2017. And it was a mediocre card. It wasn't that good. It's too hard to be able to actually swing the Twig 5 times to break it. So, when Sphere of Sapience was printed in Skullman's Academy, it actually became a pretty good combo for ramping in Druid. You played Twig, and then you played Sphere, and you would get to 10 mana. It actually was, relatively fair for a long time. It wasn't really that strong. Then, when Guff was printed, it became actually a pretty good combo that you would want to use, because you would play it with Guff on, turn... Or you play Guff up. I can't speak. You would curve Twig into Guff on 4/5, then you would play Sphere on 6, and actually you could just do a lot. You would have, so much more mana. You would have mana crystals just in addition. I'm sorry. I'm just having a hard time talking about this card. It pisses me off so much. Then Instrument Tech was printed, and suddenly this like pretty good overall combo, but like really wasn't consistent because Druid had no way to tutor it, became incredibly oppressive. Twig Druid was obscenely powerful. You were able to just tutor out Twig and Sphere incredibly early on, and it was a deck of all time. It's one of the worst mistakes and oversights we've probably ever had in Hearthstone. Yes, it probably wasn't intentional, obviously, because they're not actually thinking about Wild with cards like Instrument Tech, but man, it was not fun. It lasted for way longer than it should have as well. It's just like a gigantic oversight in the entire era of this period of Hearthstone. I'm going to be so honest with you, while Twig Druid existed in Wild, I did not play Wild a single game. It is one of the worst play experiences ever. EVER, ever. I truly don't understand how this lasted as long as it did. Then we have Shock Spitter for Hunter. I know, I like to complain about Hunter all the time, but Shock Spitter was genuinely an overpowered card, I will admit. It was mainly due to Bran being in Standard, though, because in Wild, it really wasn't that strong. Bran is a card that, like, it's almost like having a format where, you know, you don't have access to hyper aggro, makes it so cards like Bran and Bran are too strong in the format because doubling battle cries is just a really strong effect. Bran was really strong in Standard. It got multiple cards nerfed, got Astalor nerfed, got Shock Spitter nerfed. It caused a nerf to Pandaren and Porter, I think, because of like an unintended interaction with that card. It's just, Bran was just really disgusting. It should not have ever been brought back to the core set and should never be brought back to the core set. A terrible idea to bring Bran back, and that's something we know now, but at the time, we really didn't, because Bran kind of isn't that good of a card in Wild. Like, yeah, it has combos, and there are some times that you want to be using it, but overall, Bran's not that good. So, bringing it to Standard caused a lot of issues. You had a card like Shock Spitter, which, you know, on paper, Wild's kind of paper, it's really not that bad. 2 mana, deal 1 damage, improved by your hero's attack this game. It's 2/2. Attacking with your hero isn't that easy in Hunter, especially before some, like, pretty good weapons were printed. Like, in Standard, you had, like, Harpoon Gun and Hope of Quel'Thalas, and I can't even think of anything else off the top of my head, and it just wasn't that... It was great, mainly because of Bran and being able to copy it. But in Wild, I mean, at 4 mana, it's just completely unplayable. This one is a really sad case of a card that wasn't reverted same way as Setheno, that would have been just a solid staple card for the class that would have been, you know, good for time and time to come, and would just get better and better as time went on. And it's really sad that we'll never be able to play this card in actuality because of, well, Blizzard. I don't know what else there's to say. It's just sad. I don't know. He also he likes Blue Raspberry, and I love Blue Raspberry. Then we have Mage. So for Mage, this one's really funny to talk about. It's Spitelash Siren. This is one of the few cards to be nerfed twice for the same thing. Usually when cards are nerfed twice, it's because they were still too strong at their, like, nerfed effect, right? Let's look at Shock Spitter, or let's look at Construct Quarter. But Spitelash Siren was 4 mana 2/5. That was nerfed to a 5 mana 2/6. It was reverted in a, I forget what patch it was specifically, but they were trying to revert a bunch of nerfs to, like, try and help the game. And then it was nerfed again because it was too strong. It's such a funny interaction because it's so obvious that Spitelash Siren is, like, a really disgusting card. It's a 4 mana 2/5. You play, like, a 1 mana Naga, then you're +1 on mana. Then you play, like, a 1 mana spell, then you're +2 on mana. And you keep going until you can draw most of your deck. You can build a gigantic board full of Nagas, and then you can deal a lot of damage to your opponent through a bunch of different spells. It's definitely a fun card to play, don't get me wrong. There's a reason that, what is it? The Sharpshooter. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. The Sharpshooter from Demon Hunter that was the Naga. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Anyway, there's a reason that that card is so loved and so fun to play with. It is just fun to play a lot of cards and cycle through your deck, cycle through your mana incredibly efficiently. It just is fun. So I can't blame them for wanting to revert Spitelash Siren to bring a fun play pattern back to the game, but man, is this just not a balanced card when it comes to that. Then we have Paladin. So Paladins is really funny because we have Showdown Beam. Oh, I actually messed up. Whatever. Showdown Beam is just really funny to me because, like, it was so clearly going to be overpowered. Everyone knew it was. You had Showdown, which would both players summon 3/3 Outlaws with Rush. They summoned 3 of them. And then Prismatic Beam was 7 mana, deal 3 damage to all enemies. Cost 1 less for each enemy minion. So it could be 0 mana. Nowadays, it can't be 0 mana, which is good. It should stay at 8 mana, no matter what you think. But it lost the ability to also go face. That's something that, like, you could say, okay, yeah, that's more fair. I think that it's definitely more fair that way. I think this 8 mana version is a powerful card that is very fair. But when Showdown went from 2 to 3 mana, it just died completely, this combo. Showdown really is just a completely overpowered card, and, like, functionally will always be a strong card. Because at 2 mana, I mean, summoning 9/9 in stats for 2 mana, and then for a 3rd mana, if you do it with enough minions on board, you just clear it. Wow, that's really fair interaction. I get that, like, they were trying to push Paladin this set with this stuff specifically, but, like, man, if you know, Showdown does go back to 2 mana, even if Prismatic Beam stays at 8, I think it still will be playable in Wild for a long time. Even Paladin was actually a very good deck in Wild for a while because of Showdown Prismatic Beam. When Showdown was nerfed, guess what? The deck kind of died. And then Control Paladins. Control Paladins actually really love this shell as well, because, again, Showdown just is a very cheap combo. It reduces your Prismatic Beam by a significant amount and lets you fight for board incredibly efficiently. You could have things like Deputization Aura, rest in peace, to have healed from your Showdown as well. You could set it up preemptively, and it was really fun. It was genuinely a fun combo to use in Wild. In Standard, I get that it was too strong in, like, aggressive decks. I will completely understand that. So it does make sense for it to be nerfed, but please, Blizzard, please revert this when it comes, or it gets reverted, or rotated, sorry. Please, man. It would just be so nice for Wild. Radiant Elemental jump scare! Of course, I mean, you could pick any point in Hearthstone since Radiant Elemental was printed in 2017 and make an argument that it was too strong of a card. You could say that it was too strong currently with, like, Potion Priest. You could say it was too strong with Crimson Clergy and... Sorry, like Crimson Clergy and stuff like that. You could say it was too strong in Standard when it was in Standard. You could say it was too strong at so many different points in Hearthstone that it's not really fair to not include this card when you're talking about broken priest cards, especially when I do, like, videos like this where I like to talk about, like, really strong cards that have been recently strong in, you know, these videos. Miracle Priest has been strong at multiple, with multiple different deck lists for the last, like, few months. Anduin's Gift, like, completely broke this card. It's just... I mean, come on, man. How has Radiant Elemental still been a 2-mana 2/3 for the last 7 years? Sorcerer's Apprentice was nerfed in 2022. No, sorry, 2021, because of Ignite being printed. It went from 2 to 4 mana. Then it was just recently nerfed in 2024, the time of recording this, only a few weeks ago, because of, you know, I don't know what to say, Go with the Flow and Seabreeze Chalice and Mage. So, like, how has Radiant Elemental never been nerfed? These decks are still incredibly powerful. They're probably better than the Mage decks, actually. Maybe not Ignite Mage, but it's definitely been better than the Go with the Flow Mage. That deck just has, like, a really awful play pattern that people don't like to play against, versus Radiant Elemental, which is all about buffing, so it does have some more clear weaknesses, I will say. You know, you can silence them, you can spot removal them, things like that, but it's still just blatantly disgusting, especially when you do throw Potion of Madness into the equation. That card should not give charge. It just shouldn't. Like, if you don't know, Potion of Madness is a 1-mana shadow spell from Gadget Sand that reads, take control of an enemy minion that has 2 or less attack for 1 turn. And because Rush didn't exist at the time, okay, the only way to make that minion be able to attack was to give it charge so it could go face. Because they wanted to make it so you could actually attack the minion, because it would kind of be a really terrible card if it couldn't attack the same turn that you played it. So yeah, it has charge, so you can steal opponent's minion, typically that has, like, a big, larger health pool than attack pool, which does happen. There are a lot of 2/3s that get played, so that you can buff it up a lot. You can play Divine Spirit Interfire on it, and then you just kill your opponent. It's really, really toxic. Then we have Rogue. So for Rogue, I'm talking about Toy Boat. This card is just, like, disgusting, like, design-wise. So you print Starving Buzzard in a better class, Rogue, with a better body, a 2/3 instead of a 2/1, with a better tribe, Pirates, and again, a better class at abusing card draw, Rogue. So you have 4 reasons that this card is just a direct upgrade to Starving Buzzard. Yeah, it doesn't have the Beast tribe, oh no, but Pirates are a significantly better tribe than Beasts. Significantly. Like, yeah, Beasts are in, like, a contention for, like, the 2nd best tribe in the game. I would say it's a pretty close 3-way tie between Beast Dragons and Mechs overall. Like, yeah, every time support comes out, kind of shifts, but overall they are about the same for 2nd place. However, pirates are just objectively the best tribe. They have been since Gadget Zan. They have been for so unbelievably long that, like, it just feels crazy that they would print a card like Toy Boat and think, wow, this is going to be fair in our video game. And guess what? It's not good in Standard. Whoever could have guessed that you print negative support for pirates? You don't even print pirates in Rogue during the pirate expansion, and wow, it's bad in that format. So guess what? Let's buff some pirate cards to make Pirate Rogue better. Oh wait, all it does is it makes makes Wild worse. Wow, whoever could have guessed this? I don't know, man. Toy Boat just, like, pisses me off. It's incredible. It's, like, insane in Pirate Rogue. It's insane in Garrote Rogue. Eventually, there's obviously going to be another, like Rogue deck that wants to cycle through its deck incredibly fast and make use of, again, the best tribe in the game to do so it can play incredibly aggressively. Wow, there's no way that's never going to happen again. Wow. It's just, I don't know, like, how am I supposed to talk about this card without just being, like, an eye roll and groan when I look at it? It just pisses me off because, like, how is it fair? Garrote Rogue and Pirate Rogue are just direct upgrades to Beast Hunter. The one upside Beast Hunter had for a long time was the fact that it had explosive card draw turns with Starving Buzzard, and guess what? Toy Boat does that, but it also has Shadow Step, and it also has Gear Shift, and it also has Secret Passage, and it also has Preparation, and it also has, like, Coin, like, or Counterfeit Coin. It's just unfair, this card, and it makes me very upset. Then we have Shaman with Flash of Lightning. Flash of Lightning has gotten 6 cards nerfed. Bioluminescence, Spirit of the Frog, Thrall's Gift, Crash of Thunder, Miracle Salesman, and itself. All nerfed. Because of Flash of Lightning. What a well-designed card. Truly a well-designed card. Thank you, Blizzard, for putting this in our video game. Okay, so Warlock is a little easier to talk about. Crescendo is very, like, blatantly overpowered. It's easy for people to remember. It's in their memories right now because it was just nerfed, beat with Type-Pool Pupil. But Crescendo is just, like, a card that really pisses me off because it's AoE damage that hits all enemies, so it hits your face, that ramps itself and heals you and costs 0. All at the same time. So you can play multiple copies of Crescendo all in the same turn. We nerfed Unleash Fel plus Silvermoon Arcanist, 4 mana, to do the same thing. And it just wasn't as strong as this. It just was not as strong as Popgar plus Crescendo, like, including, like, things like Encroaching Sanity, Pupils, things like that. It just was not as good, the Silvermoon Arcanist combo. So why have we left Crescendo unnerfed? I could not tell you. I guess that they like the play pattern of the deck when it's in Warlock, but they don't like the play pattern of the deck when it's in Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter had, spell damage synergies and had all these spell synergies with relics, and, that got nerfed. They all, like, but somehow, some way, Crescendo dodged the nerf, and we had to then we had to nerf Type-Pool Pupil instead. Was Pupil good in other decks? Yes, it was. Could we have nerfed those decks as well? Yeah, we could have. We could have just said, okay, let's actually just nerf Rogue itself and Crescendo itself instead of nerfing Pupil, and left Pupil for other classes to use. Classes that were happy to have it, but weren't able to, like, they just weren't as strong of decks. This one, like, kind of just bothers me because it's such an obvious issue with the classes themselves rather than Pupil. Pupil is just a strong, solid card that let you get more copies of cards. That's what it was, and it was good at other classes. It's also good in Shaman with Flash of Lightning. But I don't know. I'm upset about this change. I like Type-Pool Pupil. This one, I'm going to say it's very biased that I chose this over, like, other cards for Warlock. It's mainly just because of this Type-Pool Pupil change. Crescendo just... I hate this card. I hate it. This deck is also incredibly powerful and wild. I would say, like... Okay, let me rephrase. Incredibly powerful is stretching it. It is a viable deck. You can win on this. I went, like, 17-4 playing a list before the Pupil nerf. Obviously, after the Pupil nerf, it's going to be worse, but you probably could just cut Pupil because you have Grave Defiler. And if you're cutting Pupil, wow, suddenly that nerf didn't actually affect the Wild deck, because Grave Defiler is just a better card than Pupil. It's upsetting. It's very upsetting to see this. I don't know, man. I just got to talk about the last one. And the last one's obviously going to be fucking Deep Miner Brand, dude. Like, come on. How can you make it's just impossible to make a video talking about cards that have come out, or, you know, interactions that have come out in the last 2 or 3 years and just skip over Deep Miner Brand. It's just genuinely impossible. This is like arguably one of, if not the best warrior cards ever printed. I would say you can make the argument that it's better than OG Hero Card Boom when it first came out. I would say you could genuinely make that statement. It's just like, Bran is just a terribly designed card, I think. It's obvious that, you know, we just had a full year of fucking... we just had a full year of Bran Bronzebeard being too strong in standard with cards like Astelar Bloodsworn or Shockspitter. So then Blizzard's like, okay, what do we do? Let's make a Bran effect that's permanent. That's how we save Warrior. That's how we make good card design. Obviously, that's not a good idea, because guess what? It was still too strong with Astelar Bloodsworn, and now Boom Boss Thogrun, and things like that. And it's just like, what compelled them to do this? What made them think, okay, we just had a full year of cards being too strong had their battle cries doubled? Let's make a permanent battle cry double in the most defensive class in the game that can actually survive to get this off. It's unreal. I mean, Deep Miner Brand, like, might go down as one of the worst design cards ever. Like, genuinely. It's got to be up there. I think Showdown in the Badlands is going to go down as one of the worst design expansions ever, overall. You know, a couple cards were on this list for pretty obvious reasons. It's just... It truly, truly is something, if you ask me, what's been going on in Hearthstone lately. I wanted to make this video specifically to talk about how poorly designed a lot of more recent cards are. Yeah, we had strong cards in the past. We definitely did. We didn't have cards that are like this level of poorly designed like we have had through this video. I wanted to talk about this video to really talk about some poorly designed cards, and yeah, that's gonna be it for me. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me anything down below. Are there any cards that you think could have also been on this list? Any cards that you think shouldn't have been on this list? Are there any cards that you think are like so horribly, terribly, overpoweredly, and awfully designed that I need to talk about them ASAP? I would love to hear it. I don't know, man. That's gonna be it for me. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Peace.
Shadows are rising again!
Darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, the world cries out, how will we survive? Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tomb. They grab their whips and fedoras. These legends of the past know exactly what